Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so got a trade to start free agency day. Happy free agency day, everybody. For the NBA, this is a pretty big day. Usually, most summers, it's like the biggest names moving around. It's all these different things. But this year, nah, it's a very, very, very weak free agency year for the NBA standards. About as weak as it's been in probably 6 or 7 years, maybe more. So this ain't the day where you're expecting a whole lot to happen. James Harden's obviously expected to find a trade partner today. That's what is expected. I think 76ers probably disrespected him with the money. That's my guess. Didn't meet his standards in regards to what he was expecting. Of course, he took the pay cut for them last year. He was expecting to get something bigger than 35 this year. And I think 35 is the discount that everybody would pretty much prefer to pay for him, no more than that. So it's kind of tough for James, but he's trying to find a spot, and I do believe that spot will be in Los Angeles with the Clippers. But for now, let's talk about the trade that did happen, not the trade that we expected to happen. It's a smaller trade between the Pacers and the Sacramento Kings. And what you have there is Chris Daugherty going to the Kings and draft compensation of some sort headed back to Indy. I don't know exactly how much draft compensation or what type. It has not been announced as of yet, but we know that Chris Daugherty is going to be moving to his second team. And it's not a bad team to be on for a guy like that who's been stuck in Indy with guys getting drafted in front of him, two guards just getting drafted. You know what I mean? It's kind of difficult for him, having been an older rookie when he was drafted about 4 years ago. Got off to a really good start. Injury, guys come in, the end, so he just got buried on the bench, sort of like Kendrick Nunn a couple years back with the Heat. And you expect Chris Daugherty to be able to come in and be a sturdy shooting guard for the Kings. I like it because I know what he can do if he's healthy. He's smart. He's reliable, and it's a good role player there, that two-guard spot. So I like it. I like it a lot. It gives him some freedom to kind of get back into the swing of things and get some playing time. I don't know if they're going to be looking to do more things. They did also sign Harrison Barnes yesterday to a 3-year $54, I believe it was, which I think is pretty fair for what you're expecting from Harrison Barnes. And so the Kings are just rounding in the form. I like what they're doing for themselves, just giving themselves a bit more talent. Nothing that you would look at and even cringe your face at. Just real solid guys that you probably expect they're going to be able to play up to value if they give them roles. Chris Daugherty should just overall help with the shooting guard. It got Herder in there. Monk should be in place. I don't think any of those guys are free agents, but I'm not sure. I doubt it. They're bringing everybody back. So I like what they did. They did shave off a couple of guys. What's his name? Went to the Dallas Mavericks. The center that they had, one of them. And I also understand that Neemias Queta might be a free agent, and so is a few of their other guys. Trey Lyles a free agent, so we're going to keep an eye, see if they keep the bulk of those guys, because you don't want to start losing size in a time like this if you're Sacramento. Granted, they do still have Sabonis, of course, in place, but you're talking about his backups. One of the things that made Sacramento strong was the fact that they had like 5 and 6 centers all year long. I know that depth is still in place, some of it, Alex Len, but other guys are free agents, and they're starting to lose some of those guys, and they're going to run a bit thin. So I'm curious to see if that dynamic is still going to be in place, because they did set quite a standard last year with immense amount of depth. So I'm curious to see how many players they have in rotation and how many of those people will be bigs, because few of their 7-footers are free agents. So that's what I'm looking at there. Solid trade, nothing too serious. I'll be looking for more information on other free agents as they're signed today. It's just that kind of day where we're expecting a lot of movement of, some things that may surprise you, but I'm expecting more re-signings than anything else. This is that kind of year. My Los Angeles Lakers, I expect for us to re-sign just about everybody. If we're lucky enough to pry Bruce Brown away from Denver, that would be great. I think he is looking for a bit of a bag since he just won the championship. It says the two things that I read stated that it's now down to Dallas and the Lakers. So I'm guessing he is out of Denver, but I don't trust anything until I see it signed. I've seen stuff like that before, and the guy goes back any damn way, just like they did yesterday with Drummond. So You thought Drummond was going to Dallas. So it's almost a foregone conclusion he's signing with Dallas. And then he goes right back to Chicago. So given the fact that this is another Dallas situation, I wouldn't be surprised if it's exactly like that. But yeah, speaking of Dallas, of course, everybody's got their eyes on Kyrie Irving. Is he going to go to the Suns? How is the question. The only way I see him going to the Suns is if they trade Ayton, and the only way they're going to trade Ayton is if they get a good package for him. I can't see them just offloading Ayton just for salary, just to bring Kyrie in. I don't see them doing it. I know they could do it, and I'm not saying they're not willing to trade Ayton. I'm just saying that I don't think they're going to get anything good for Ayton, and in the event they don't, they ain't going to want to make the trade. That's what I'm telling you. It may come down to just taking a bad trade for Ayton in order to get Kai, and I don't know what they're going to lean on in that regard. Then, Kyrie Irving, I don't know what his situation is in regards to other teams that are interested in him, but I know there are other teams that need point guards that have cap space that could be interested in assigning him, but probably not for longer than a year. They'll sign him for a multi-year deal, but they won't keep it, is what I'm saying. They'll likely want to shop it very soon. That's what I see. Like a team like Orlando, team like Houston, if they sign a guy like that, they're probably going to want to trade like a guy like that very, very soon. At least within a year, so that they can re-sign some of these young kids that are going to be coming off of restricted free agency. They're going to want that money solidified, and they're not going to want it going to anybody over the ages of a certain age. And that's the thing about the two main solid teams that have cap space. You're talking about Orlando, you're talking about Houston. Those are two teams that have a lot of talent, a lot of young players that guys may want to join, but their franchises have no interest in that kind of thing right now. So this is going to get kind of interesting. Houston is a little different. They've been rumored to want James Harden, Fred VanVleet. I have not heard Kyrie's name involved in that at all. So I don't know if that's an option. But of course, we always talk about the Lakers. He's going to take a massive pay cut in order for the Lakers to be on tab unless something unprecedented takes place. That's all I see there, and it looks like the Lakers are gonna probably re-sign D'Angelo today. I don't see them doing anything crazy. I really don't. I don't see it, but you never know. We might have a deal with Fred VanVleet under the table or something. I have no idea, but I doubt it very seriously. Yeah, I think the Lakers are in the business of not taking too many chances this season. That's what it looks like to me, because if they were in the business of taking chances, they'd have took Cam Whitmore. So they don't look like they're in the business of doing anything off script or off the books. However, it does there is a lot of stuff swirling around about LeBron James wanting Kyrie on the team. We know that. Everybody knows that. But whether or not it can be possible is an entirely different story. But then again, this is clutch. This is Bron. So a lot of things that seem impossible just simply become possible. But I'm telling you this, there will be some reaction to the Clippers getting James Harden if that happens. There will be some reaction to that by the LA Lakers, I believe. I don't think you can just sit back, roll in with the team you got, and expect to get to the Western Conference Finals with two super teams, Wembanyama and Jokic, all in the Western Conference. I don't think the Lakers can chill. You can't chill if you call yourself a contender. Now, if you don't decide you want to contend, then we can just stay on this path and we'll be like Chicago, not make it. No, we're not going to make it before we even start. And, I mean, it might be the best way to go given the circumstances. You don't want to bottom out with like a whole team full of role players. You know what I mean? Replacing them with stars that probably won't perform better this season. It's like, I don't know if that even makes any sense when you really think about that either. So we're just going to play the year out and get as far as we can get without expecting much. That's God's honest truth about the LA Lakers. And if that's the case, all I want us to do is to continue to add talent to this team and develop the players around the core. And if the core is able to do something for us, great. If not, we don't expect it. That's where I'm at with it, man. I'm not going to even get my hopes up this year. That didn't last year either. I was better for it. So, yeah, man, this is a good season, though. I think we'll be a better team than we were last year for the most part. Just overall better talent, especially if we have success today in free agency. We've had years where the Lakers have done well in free agency. We've had years where everybody got stuff but us. So I don't know what to expect. But it seems like we have a competent front office that looks like they're ready to do good things. That Bruce Brown signing could potentially be something very good for us. potentially. I don't see a whole lot wrong with that player. It's a good time to get him coming off a championship, cheap for what it is you expect him to do. And as much as I like our shooting guards that we have, upgrading that position is never a bad thing. We're talking about Lonnie Walker. Austin sometimes plays it. We can definitely play him at the 3. We can definitely play Bruce Brown at the 3, so it's no problem bringing in a more solidified starting shooting guard that can play some damn defense. You guys know how serious that is to me. So yeah, I'm really hopeful we get Bruce Brown. I hear Dante DiVincenzo's name out there, Eric Gordon's name as well. Shake Milton's name has been linked. So we're trying to get a shooting guard. The Lakers are almost definitely going to get somebody today at that position. And so given the fact that they are, I'm curious to see if there would be any chance they would be willing to trade for a shooting guard, because that opens up the market even more in regards to the type of names you could acquire at that position at certain prices. It's not just about the free agents. It's about what you can do with D'Angelo's contract if you plan on trading it. Obviously, we let go of Bamba and Beasley yesterday to create the $26 million cap space that they leave behind. I do believe that also could be coupled with D'Angelo to be made into something massive. If you see that number right there, that is $30 million potentially with D'Angelo, 25, 20, somewhere in there, depending on what they can give him. Now, of course, we're looking to re-sign Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, so they're likely going to take a massive portion of that. And then you would be able to get Bruce Brown, if possible, and then probably restructure a way to keep all 3 of Schroeder. Who was it that they were trying to keep? There was a few other guys too that they definitely wanted to bring back. Bamba, I think they probably want to bring back. Beasley maybe at a shorter deal. I would like to see them bring back Troy Brown and Wenyen Gabriel. If they're interested in keeping some size down there, it probably makes sense to re-sign the guys we got. But the one thing that does not really address at all is the center position, and that is something that I think the Lakers are going to have to do something about. We're going to have to do something. And maybe the answer is to make a trade during the season. You guys know how I feel about that. I'd rather not have anything like that planned like we did last year. But if it's necessary and that's the only way we're going to get a center, then that's just what it is. That's the plan. We got to make a trade to get a center midway. So, but I don't know that Bamba's the answer. I don't think so. Castleton's too early. It's not the answer. Anthony Davis is not the answer. Rui Hachimura, you can get away with it at times, but it's definitely not the answer. And even in signing Wenyen Gabriel, that's not the answer. He's actually a 4. So for me, I want us to go ahead and get us a center. It's guys that are out there. I think his name is Reed out of Philadelphia. Can't remember what his first name is, but it's Reed. That's a guy that I think the Lakers should take a look at. A sturdy center. He's definitely somebody I think we could do some good with. Old guy that we worked with, Montrezl Harrell, probably not going to play no defense, but he's a center. Probably not the answer, but that's not, it's what we're dealing with here. Batazde, we mentioned him yesterday. I think he's pretty solid. I'm not super excited, but, we're talking about a thin center position. So, wilder things have taken place, but Draymond Green always has himself pointed in the Lakers' direction. If something goes wrong, I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be willing to take a pay cut to go to LA to play with Bron. I really don't see a reason. I know he was talking to Dame and them up there in Portland. They probably got the bag. Sacramento got the bag for him. But I know he has some clutch connections, and I just know Bron's going to be like, this is where you need to be. I know it. And it's not, because we need spacing. And he and his boy both are bad shooters, and that is the problem. But we need a center, and there's not too many better at what it is that he does. So don't be surprised. I'm not saying the Lakers are linked to him. They're probably not. But we need a center. That's his friend, and I don't know if he's going to have his bag in Golden State. I don't know what direction they want to go in. Seems to me they would bring him back. But with him flirting around with other teams, it's always something to see there when that's happening. So I don't know what Golden State's going to do. I don't know, but I know that they got a new power forward in place, Trace Jackson Davis, who I think could pop. And if he does, they still got Kuminga on tab, still got Looney on tab. Yeah, it's a lot to consider there when they have to invest a lot into Draymond Green. It's a lot to consider. So I don't expect he won't be re-signing with the Golden State Warriors, but I'm never ruling out him leaving teams, and I would never rule out the LA Lakers, given the circumstances and how thin that center position is looking, and how much we actually probably could afford to pass up paying other people at other positions if for some reason we just decide we want a center. You could see us doing it and still getting away with our guard position. If we miss out on Bruce Bowen, if Schroeder goes somewhere else, if Lonnie goes somewhere else, these are the type of things that open up the door for the Lakers to start scrambling to figure out what they want to do. Like I said, I'm certain they want a shooting guard. They'd probably go with a Shake Milton or something like that. But when you look at that center position, I'm telling you, it's going to start getting really weird around here. Kyrie Irving re-signs with Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Fred VanVleet goes somewhere else. It's like, all right, if things start looking like that, I could see the Lakers doing something different that we're not expecting. I can see that. The good thing, though, is for those who don't want something weird to happen, is I don't really see all of that shaking out that way. I really don't. But the Bruce Brown thing, I still think is a little bit of a stretch. I still think that because at the end of the day, if he re-signs with Denver for 1 year, he's going to be able to become eligible for a type of contract that he won't get if he signs with us or Dallas for more than a year. So I just think it's still a long shot. It's still a long shot he leaves the champs. I really think that. And I want to let everybody know here, I'll be very excited if we sign him. But I honestly do not expect us to sign him. I don't. So that's just what I want people to understand there. So, Dante DiVincenzo would be a good player to bring in at that position. But I also think he's going to have better suitors and going to pay him more money. I think he's an overpay candidate. Yeah, overpay candidate. Definitely. Somebody's going to pay him. Who else? Some other guys around that you probably want to take a look at the point guard, shooting guard position. But I think we're pretty solid there. Most of the free agency pool of the centers, power forward, small forward, it ain't a whole lot. It's looking better for the shooting guards. A guy like Seth Curry's still out there, but I heard that he didn't really look all that good in the playoffs. I didn't watch a single second of Brooklyn Nets playoffs, so I don't know how they did, but I heard he looked kind of washed low-key, so I'm not interested in bringing in guys that don't really have it anymore in any way. I don't care who they are, shooters or whatever. So if that's the word, I'll pass. And these are the type of things that make me want to just bring back who we have, man. Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker, Wenyen Gabriel. Because at the end of the day, we got a nice team, continuity pieces. Just had some Western Conference Finals experience, so nobody's green around here anymore. And when you got a good thing going, you know what I mean? Especially when your team, the core, is coming back for a last hurrah, they should probably have the same players they had last time. So that just makes the most sense to me. I know that there are some upgrades we can get if we let go of certain guys, and I'm open to that. But if those guys don't do the right type of things, then is it really an upgrade? That's what we got to ask ourselves. Maybe he shoots a little better than this guy. Maybe he's a little more athletic. But if he's trash on defense and the guy we had was a defender, it could really change things for our team. So we just got to be a little careful about that. And shot making is so important. So I'm not too thrilled about us bringing in too many guys that cannot hit a jumper. Not this season. No, not this season. So that's also something we got to consider in free agency right now. So, yeah, that's where I'm at in regards to my Lakers. Very curious to see if somebody swoops in and takes James Harden away from the Clippers. It crossed my mind that the Lakers would finally get some payback on them and do something like that, but I don't want to pay James Harden's salary. I do not. Not at all. Let them do that. But I would not be surprised if the Lakers somehow get them back for all of that they've been doing to us all of these years. I wouldn't be surprised if we pull a them on them at some point. Maybe it's ill-advised because obviously it doesn't really work. You got to strategize for yourself. But eventually all that pettiness is going to catch up to the Clippers because they've been rather ridiculous for a very long time. So that's just what I know. Eventually somebody going to take something from them like they've been taking from us. So it ain't going to be James Harden, though. I think that there's only like one or two teams that really want James Harden, and they're one of them. Now, I don't think that that's the only team that should want James Harden because I personally think Utah should want anybody that can pass the ball around. Be honest with you, but that's the situation there. Orlando, they got so much cap space and no desire to really pay anybody, which is tricky. I don't know how that works as far as like, can I just keep my cap space and not use it on any of these dudes? But I guess that doesn't work, right? Because you need it represented in players. So this is when you get caught up in paying people contracts you had no business paying them just for necessity. We've seen it so many times. And you get contracts that you can't trade, and they end up being less valuable than they would have been if you would just left the money sitting in a safe. And so that's the problem with the NBA. You get situations like that where you got to pay Fred VanVleet $40 million because everybody else on your team is pretty much stacked up and ready to go. But you don't want to really give any of them extensions. So it's like, where does the money go? It should not go to a bad contract, I tell you that. It should definitely not be made in that form. I'd probably try to get creative and trade things for draft equity. That's what you do. You take back somebody's crappy salary that they don't want, make them give you your picks, and then stretch the contract. That's how you evaporate cap space, rather than trading for players that you're not going to use, that you can't retrade for any dang thing at all. So that's the way I would try to strategize it if I were Orlando or Houston. If you don't want to extend anybody, just get more picks and then trade those when you are ready to make some things happen. It's not like nobody's going to turn those down. They never will. And so that's kind of how I would play it, rather than playing a James Harden or Fred VanVleet when I got like 7 draft picks of talent that's going to have to be paid over the next 4 years. Nah, it's going to be a nightmare. So, yep, that's what I think. At any rate, man, free agency should be kicking off, I think, at noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern. I think that's how that goes. Don't quote me on that. But, of course, you'll know a lot probably before that, because deals are going to be announced in regards to who's signing where and stuff like that. The big name is Fred VanVleet, though, in regards to free agency, if you ask me. It really is him. Once we know where he's going, he'll probably shake a lot of loot. Yeah, him, James Harden. Kuzma is a big name to pay attention to today. I don't have any idea where he's going. I know he's not going back to Washington. And I don't think he's taking the Laker bag. So he's going to be in a new team. I'm thinking probably one of those teams that had their eye on the whole time. Sacramento's a big team for him. Always has been. You always want to take a look at the home team, Detroit. I don't know what type of cap space they got, and I don't know what type of role they have for him, but they do have a need for a power forward. So it kind of, I don't know if I let it fit, but it's okay. I heard that Indy had some interest in Kuzma. They were probably going to throw a massive bag at him. I don't see a reason not to do it in Orlando, too. With the type of team they have, he can come off the bench and really help them. Paolo Banchero, that's just extra strength. Obviously, Mo Wagner's a player they probably want to re-sign. If they don't re-sign him, I can see them upgrading with Kuz, have the money to do it. The Rockets, too. He's had some really big games in their building. So if they've been paying attention to Kuzma, they miss out on one of the Laker guys. I could totally see them giving what they would give Rui to Kuzma. Because obviously they want to go after Rui. But, I mean, this type of thing, like, I think the Rockets got the right idea. Even though they're trying to come after our players, that's kind of what they need to be doing. Not going after older superstars, but guys that are still in the range that their team is in, that are more so better fits for their team. I think they got that actually right. I hadn't had a chance to say that because those are my players and I don't want them to take them, but that's the better direction for phase 2, if you ask me, for the Rockets. Rather than trying to go after Fred or James, that's not the move. Going after youngsters, like Fred VanVleet, Austin Reeves is the way to go for the Rockets. Hopefully, Austin sees us as a better place to play and stays put. And I think he loves being a Laker low-key. I really do. I don't think Austin's going anywhere at all. The Lakers are going to match him, and I don't have any feel for what type of contract he would be interested in. No feel for it. Don't know. Rui Hachimura, same thing. We'll find out when we see. But the market for these guys is going to be interesting because the rest of the free agent market is not very good. And D'Angelo Russell, I guess the Lakers are going to re-sign him. We've already mentioned that, of course, in this video. Salute the Kobe Minute. I think he's also going to have other suitors that may be interested in him as well. I think let's see, Toronto, I don't know what they want to do with their point guard position with Fred coming out. Maybe they put the ball in Scotty's hands. We know he can do it. Maybe they decide to go in a different direction with a shooting point guard like D'Lo put next to Grady, and just fire away with facilitators coming from those forwards. OG Anunoby, could he be on the move on a day like today? Name been rumored for so long. Of course, Pascal, same thing. Their names have been in rumors. What's going to happen with Jakob Poeltl? If he resigns with Toronto, does that affect these things? If he doesn't, does it make it so that they tear it all down since they're losing him and Fred? Like, these are things I'm wondering about in Toronto. That's a very, very important team today. Very important team today. What's going to happen with Gary Trent? I think he opted in. Are they going to trade that? I'm sure they're not happy with that. Although he could have a bounce back season, he kind of only does a few things at a very high level, but not really well-rounded as a player. Kind of, you can afford to upgrade there, and given the fact they got Grady in, it might make his piece a bit redundant. It could also open up some things for his piece just the same, having an elite shooter like that on the floor. So I don't know. I mean, I like them bringing in Grady. I think Grady actually opens up the game for a guy like Fred VanVleet if he were to re-sign with Toronto. And now you got an elite shooter right there. It just opens up things a lot for everybody. I don't think that dynamic's even being explored in Toronto. But they got a new coach in place, and I don't know what type of system he wants to run. It's definitely new things going on there. Curious to see, now that James Harden is leaving Philadelphia, is anybody from Toronto going to go up to Philadelphia to be coached by Nick Nurse? Because that's also often a thing you see with coaches going certain places. You see some type of remnants from where they left in the new place. So that's something I'm paying attention to. Same thing with the Rockets and the coach there. I think of a guy like Grant Williams. I wonder if he'll end up with the Rockets at random just because of that sort of type of thing. He had a bad year in Boston last year, and he played great under Coach Udoka. So all of these things are crossing my mind right now. You look at the Phoenix Suns. Will any Pistons be up there with Monty? It's not a whole lot leaving the Suns. Wasn't a whole lot there that the Pistons should want, by the way, from last year. So maybe not. But these are the type of things you just consider when in free agency. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, man. I think it's going to be very interesting. The Bucks have made some changes with their coaching situation. I'm wondering if there's going to be some player movement there. With Middleton being a free agent, opting out of $40 million, you wonder where he's going to end up. You wonder if he's re-signing with the Bucks. I think so. For a lesser deal, that'd probably be more team-friendly so they could do something else. Maybe sign Kuzma. I just created that. I never heard them wanting Kuzma, but that's the type of piece I would want to bring in if I'm the Bucks. The type of stuff could be helpful for their overall offense, especially if they are, in fact, going to lose a guy like Middleton. They need to find some scoring right away, to be honest. So, yeah, all of this stuff is relevant, man. We're talking about it because today is free agency day, and probably the most lackluster one maybe of all time, but nevertheless, we're still going to cover it because it is still going to be potentially impactful once things start shaking up. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I thank everybody for watching BDL 44, and I'm out.